And her.
And when we whoop enough ass, everybody gonna get in line and do right. All right, peace and blessings, assalamu alaikum, shalom, welcome everyone. We are back and we are live with a special edition uh, from the book study. And I have my co-host, Sister Mayat, with me. Peace and blessings, Mayat, how are you?
I'm good. Peace and blessings, everybody. What's today? Thursday, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Happy
Thursday.
Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody.
The so-called Juneteenth holiday. And, when we was down there to go to Doc's wedding, had to take the ferry over to Galveston. And realizing that that's where the quote-unquote Juneteenth holiday came from, because our people down there were still enslaved 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. But even when our people, there's so much deception dealing with who we are and our history, that you look at a lot of these things that are shown to be or look to be as something good, when the reality of it, the face value of it, the in-depth value of it is no good at all. And on Sunday, I'll probably touch more into that. But today we're here to talk about chapter 39 through 42, the fall of America, the afterthoughts. And Sister Maya, I'll bring you in, and let's begin.
Oh, I don't have any afterthoughts, really. It's really on you.
Oh, okay.
Now, you know what I was thinking? If you now what I can do just to help your listening audience understand how we got here, if you want me to, I can read the text thread to set the tone, because I read it like 3 times already. And I was laughing because I'm not the only one that have these moments. And it's good to know that the study is having an effect on you. Because I've said so many times, this takes a lot out of me. And to know that, it brought us to this moment, it's a very special moment for me. So if you want me to read the thread to set the tone and you take it away, I can if you want me to.
Okay, yeah, that'll work.
Okay, so we did our last study on Tuesday night. And for those of you that were studying with us, thank you very much. And I think it was the next morning, Marie sent me this text message, and it reads, "Peace and blessings. How are you doing? Our last programs have been off the hook. You asked me last week about, can our people get along and move together with Christianity or something to that effect? And I said they would have to keep the religion outside. Do you remember that?" And I said, "Good morning. Yes, I remember. What happened?" Marie said, "Well, after the program last night, I have learned we can't move forward with that religion. It has to go. You can't come together with that mindset. It's dangerous. This study has really awoken me up to that reality. I have been trying to find the common ground with that so our people don't have to get out of it. But there's no common ground. It's either accept or die. No other choice. Through your questions, you made me admit the reality. Once the words came out, it was a wrap." And I said, "I agree. You cannot love your enemy and turn the other cheek. You said it best last night, and I noted it in my notebook. 1, you cannot fight morally with an immoral enemy. 2, we are comfortably oppressed. 3, conscientious objectors. This is something we all need to walk in. Marie said, that's true. Wow. I said, last night was divinely put together by Allah by way of the master teacher, Elijah Muhammad. The timing is undeniable. We were right on time with the Israeli strike on Iran. This could not have been pre planned by man, only God. Black Christian soldiers are sheep being led to the slaughter, dying to keep white supremacy alive. And you said, that's true. Damn, that's true.
Mm,
And that's how we got here.
exactly. Exactly. And, it's like there's a saying in the Nation of Islam where, it said, well, a good Muslim is a good Christian. And we repeat it always. We repeat it, trying to win them over to our way and eventually hoping to get them to leave off Christianity. And but a good Muslim is not a good Christian. They're not nowhere even as the same. And to understand where you were reading, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that you better follow me or else, because there's no other way out. He wasn't being political. He wasn't being sociable. He wasn't meandering, playing around with words, trying to make something smooth. He gave it to you right as it is. And that's just how we have to be. Now, I remember when I was coming in to the teachings, and we were at Austin Peay University in Clarksville, Tennessee, and the Nation of Islam from Nashville had came up to do a little presentation to the Black students. And I asked the local minister, and I had brought guests there, is heaven real? And he said, no, heaven is not real. There's no place called heaven, and there's no literal place that you're going to go that's called hell. And that was the first time that I ever heard such. And so I listened to him. At the end of the thing, we all loaded up in my car and we, went back home. But it disturbed me that he would say that there was no real place called heaven and there's no real place called hell. There are conditions. That disturbed me because I bought the lie that I was going to see my mom again. If I be good, I'll go to heaven and I'll be able to see my mother again. Now, mind you, my mom died when I was 13 years old. So as a young man going into adulthood, I'm still carrying this thought that I'm going to see my mother again. And now I'm being confronted with the thought that I'm never going to see him again. That's a wrap. It was messing with my mind. And those that I had brought to the event, of course, they were all Christians. And they just, rejected it like it wasn't nothing and carried on with their day. And I remember calling Brother Keith to ask him about it. And he was like, no, brother, I never heard that either. And so when I got back home that night, I started to study. I started to search for it. I said, I got to find where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad actually said that there's no heaven and there's no hell. You're not going to die and go to heaven or die and go to hell. I needed to have that actual facts for me to hear it come out of his mouth. And I wound up finding it. It was in the Theology of Time tapes that I had purchased, just never listened to all of it. But it just so happened this day I was listening to it and he said it. And he said it, and I didn't have a problem with it now. I accepted it as that's the fact, called up Brother Keith, told him I found it, and let him listen to it. And we said, it is what it is. And we kept rolling. But when I understood, as we were talking on the program on Tuesday, that our people that go into the military, to go to war, to go and kill for a country that police officers will kill you and not even think twice about it, that don't even get charged for taking a life that wasn't supposed to be taken. But yet we still sign up to go and serve for this country. And we've been fed lies from day one. So the question had to come, because I looked at even where we are right now in the battle for our human rights. Where did the civil rights people come from? Where did they get their start at? Where was the starting point for them? And the starting point is the church. It is the church that is the starting point for them. It is the church that pushed integration. It is the church that says we can get along with them. It is the church that says they are our brothers. They are our sisters. It is the church that says we'll be able to go to die and go to heaven and be one. And we will be brothers and sisters with all of humanity. But we have to understand that these white people, they don't have humanity. So you can never be brothers, you can never be sisters with them. But in the indoctrination of Christianity, this is the lie that they made you believe. And so thoroughly, taking this book over to what is now called Africa and gave them a religion. Gave them a religion, a foreign way to their society, gave it to them. And they did the same thing in the Caribbean. They gave them this religion. Now, I've never been to Africa personally, and I've never been to the Caribbean. Well, I did go to Egypt and to the Sinai Desert when I was in the military, but you don't get to go sightseeing or nothing like that. But Maya, let me ask you, because you've been to Jamaica before. Is Christianity big in Jamaica, or they've accepted their own religion in Jamaica?
It's Christianity is on crack in Jamaica. Everywhere you look, if you think you can have a lot of churches in America, double that in Jamaica. Churches are everywhere. And I've tried to take a video of, there's a hill, because Jamaica has mountains, and it also has some hills. And we were coming through Kingston on our way to Portmore, and they actually have a cross that's lit up on a hill, like mimicking in Brazil where they have the Jesus real high up in the air.
Right.
Well, they don't have the actual figure of Jesus, but they have a cross that's lit up on a hill and everybody can see it glow at night. And if you know anything about the elders in Jamaica, they are diehard Christians. They do not play about Christ at all. So I would say it's even worse over there than it is over here. And because I know and I live around a lot of Haitians, they take Christianity very seriously. Not all of them, because you have some secular Jamaicans and secular Haitians. However, to me, Caribbean people are more extreme in their belief with Jesus and not the black version.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. That is something else. That really is. So I wonder, do they really understand that through this quote unquote curse of Ham and other distorted biblical stories that they have in there, that this is how the church made you a nigger, that you was cursed black, and that they would even take that and be okay with their theology of I'm black because I'm cursed.
So when you look at people in the Caribbean, they're not everybody, but the large majority of people are very low educated people. Their educational system is it's at the very low end of the totem pole. They get the bare minimum in their educational system. And what I learned from traveling throughout the Caribbean is that they don't study history. I was talking to some people in Jamaica when I was in the Bahamas, and telling them about their history, and they didn't even know it. They had no clue. And remember, their pastors don't study theology. They just pick up a Bible and start preaching and opening a church. They don't go to divinity school. So they just believe what has been passed down to them. And they're very uneducated when it comes to African history. They are clueless. And if the pastor said it, it's true. There's no question in it. If the pastor said it, and if it's in the Bible, it's facts. There's no debating it. So those types of people, it's very hard to convince them otherwise.
Wow.
And that's why Professor John Henrik Clarke says, he who knows one book knows nothing.
Exactly. Wow. And when I looked at this quote unquote curse of Ham and understood that this was the mechanism that identified quote unquote black people in the Bible under this white Christian mantra. And even the black the black preachers don't really get up there in church and teach you that this is a lie. They don't even teach it. And this is part of the problem. Because you have those who so-called went to divinity school, those who so-called were called by God to get up there and teach his quote-unquote message, but never do they go in and teach the truth. They will teach the same old bullshit that was lined up and sold down and passed down to us. Even when we stop and we think about one of the most famous civil rights song that was sung, "We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. we shall overcome. Because deep in my heart, we do believe we shall overcome. This too comes from the church. Now, the question has to be asked. If the evildoers can kill your God, if the evil people can kill your God, what's really protecting you? What's stopping them from killing you? And these are the questions that should be asked and dealt with. Because if the evil people can kill your God, you don't stand a chance. And so instead of you trying to fight them, you will seek to get along with them. Hence, we shall overcome. We ain't overcoming today, but someday they may have a change of heart. Someday they may believe in being a righteous individual, which will never happen. They also used this quote unquote white man's burden of making Africans into Christians, to go and converting them out of their own way into a new way that's foreign to them, that teaches them not to fight those who abuse you. If your master take your shirt, give him your shoes. This type of obedience, and even till to this very day, it still remains the same. There's this obedience to the lies that were perpetrated against us, used solely for control. So when Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that this is the perfect slave-making religion, we really got to look at it for what it is. And, you know, most of my family, majority of my family, are all in the church. And so I think for me, trying to synthesize with it that you can still be in the church and live a prosperous or productive Black life. But the problem is you don't even have a life, because you're taught to love everybody and turn the other cheek. And this is a problem, because you love your enemies, and know how many times they done kicked you in your right ass, your left ass, punched you in your right cheek, your left cheek, and you have not ran out of cheeks to turn. But because this thing is in your mind, you forgive those who abuse you. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's part of one of their Christian prayers to forgive those who abuse you, to love those who abuse you. When in reality, that's against your own life. But this is what it is taught to us, and we reinforce it and teach it to our children, that we must love those who hate us, that we must love those who do wrong to us. This is how we can go down there to the Army, Navy, all these recruiters, and raise our right hand and give the oath of allegiance to a government, to a people, to a system that's against our own life. Love those who abuse you. Accept those who misuse you. And you are taught to take it and go pray about it. Don't do nothing physically, but go pray about it. Go love your masters more. So when we're looking at why we have not progressed as we should as a people, we have to look at the Black church. Because it is through the Black church that the civil rights movement started. So it is the Black church that is the arm of white supremacy. It is the arm of subjugation. It is the arm of control. It is the arm that's supposed to keep you at peace and suffer gently. Sister Maya, during the Watts riots, or not the Watts riots, the LA riots after Rodney King, do you remember there was a Black preacher out there with his Bible, praying, holding his Bible up, trying to get the people to stop?
No, I don't remember that. I just remember Rodney King's "Can We All Just Get Along?"
Yes.
He had the nation on attention. We were on all 10 toes. And that Negro got on that damn podium and said, with his face looking a hot mess, and said, after getting his ass stomped in the ground, and said, "Can we all just get along?"
There's no way in the world. That just shows you he still wasn't in his right mind after taking an ass whooping like that. That he still wants to get along with his oppressors. That shows us that you still are not in your right mind. And I wish that I had thought about this previously, and I would have had it able to be shown. But we're flowing, and it just came to me as I was talking. But this Black preacher was out there, and he was trying to get everybody to stop, and this, that, and the other during this riot. And he had his Bible, and he trying to get everybody to cool down and be okay, because Jesus paid it all. But that's not true. And the suffering that we have been through from the time that we have first come in contact with these demons to this very, very day. There's no getting along with evil, because evil will definitely try to remove you. Evil will do exactly what its purpose is. And we have to understand that. The whole purpose of the enemy is to remove your humanity from you. That's why they treated our people as chattel property, not as human beings. that we were brought and sold like bread, livestock. We were property records. And these items don't have humanity. These items don't have a soul. These items, you can do any damn thing you want to them because it's not human. Brutal violence, whippings, torture, water holes, distortions, ripping our teeth out to put it in George Washington's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Violence to enforce submission, justified by their belief that Black people are cursed. So you accept torture because you were taught that you are cursed. And we sit back and wonder, what happened to us? Family separations. Our family was routinely torn apart. Spouses gone, parents gone, children gone, sold at will. Family bonds broken.
Mm-hmm.
Because you believe you were cursed. You don't look at, because you believe you were cursed, you don't look at the damn people that's doing it to you. You excuse them to say you were cursed. Now, again, Sister Maya, I ain't been to over there on the islands, but you have. The things that we suffer from here, over there in the islands, is it the same? Is it different? What is that like?
Life, you mean everyday living?
Yes.
Hell, in my opinion. Every time I go to the Caribbean or Central America, I'm traumatized and I don't want to go back. I mean, I want to go back to the resort because, you know, when you go to the resort, you're paying to spend your days in a nice area. You get access to everything that you have in the United States. But what I try to do, I try to go live with the locals. And it's not easy because they don't have the amenities that we have. In Central America, when I went to Nicaragua, I went to San Jose, I went to Grenada, some parts of Costa Rica. Black people there, you know, they got some good parts, but for the most part, we would call them people living in poverty.
Mm.
They literally live in poverty. I mean, I see people outside taking a bath. You build your own home in many regards. Like in Jamaica, the government will give you like a 10 by 20 or a 10 by 30 in some parts. And the rest you have to add on yourself. The water pressure is low. You have to worry about whether or not you can take a bath, wash your hands, flush the toilet. The large majority of people, if they have an AC, they're not going to use it because the electricity is too expensive. Believe it or not, a lot of people who come to America from Jamaica, they brag on their food, but their food is heavily processed on the island. Heavily processed. I was just ready to come home. Haiti is another story. All parts are not bad. For those Haitians who send money back to Haiti, you can live a good life if you have someone sending money. But other than that, if you don't, you really live a life of poverty. I have Haitian friends who show me how they kill cats and eat it. They put it inside of they put the cats inside of a pillowcase and you slam it on the ground and kill it. And then you butcher it up and cook it. I've seen that. I have Haitian friends who eat pigeon, who drink water off of the ground in dirty, filthy areas, who eat mud cakes made out of dirt. So poverty. It's a lot of poverty over there.
Mm.
Dirt
Now,
roads, potholes, mangy dogs. You bathe inside of pots and pans. It's bad.
but the government over there is black, though, right?
Yeah. And Jamaica is black. Haiti is black. But, you know, they steal a lot of money. The Jamaican government had triple digit millions missing recently, I think. I saw it in their newspaper. Millions of dollars missing. And a large majority of people who like the manufacturers who are producing goods on the island, they're Chinese, Jewish, or white. And maybe one company is owned by Grace. Like Grace is a company that they sell beverage, like they manufacture a lot of different food products. Grace, if I'm not mistaken, that's a black family. But other than that, like the beer, seasonings, some other manufacturing companies, I forget. I'll send you the video. Those people, them Jamaicans really don't own shit. As a matter of fact, they have a place in Jamaica that's known for selling jerk chicken. And you know, that's an island staple. When people go to Jamaica, they want that jerk chicken because Jamaica is known for jerk chicken. Well, when you go to Germantown, that's the fucking Germans. And they be line long, a long ass line of people buying jerk chicken from some damn white Germans.
Wow.
I was so sick of over there. I was sick of seeing some like the trash, the filth and the trash. Oh my God. Yeah. I love the waterfalls. That's the only thing I love about these the islands and stuff like that. I love the waterfalls, but life in the Caribbean and Central America is rough. I came back from Central America sick as a dog. Whew, I was sick of the damn mosquitoes. Jamaican mosquitoes too. Flies all in the damn house. People leaving the door open. I was miserable.
Wow.
Yeah, I told you I was supposed to go back, but I changed my mind because I thought about the first time I went. I'm like, whoa, and you talking about 10 days? I don't know about 10 days of not taking a decent shower. I don't know about that.
Wow. That's crazy.
Die-hard Christians. Die-hard. And Central America, they got it worse, man. They churches over there. They got some churches in Central America, 300-400 years old. And the doors stay open. Those people in there crying crocodile tears. Statues of Jesus. And when you look up at the ceiling, you see Kemetic symbols, pyramids, third eye, all kind of shit.
Wow.
They just ignorant. They're uneducated. They're really uneducated between the pastors and just really the pastors really influence their thinking. And they don't want to hear it. They do. Let me tell you something. They will knock your ass out. You start talking about Jesus over there. Them Jamaicans, they don't want to hear that shit. They sold out. Wow. Not all, but a large majority, they sold out for Jesus. Now, out like in Jamaica, their Christmas is like our Thanksgiving. And so they have big Christmas celebrations where you paint your house, you change your furniture, you get everything new, clothes, bed sheets, shoes, paint, like you go all out. And you got to have everything decked out, new food everywhere, drinks everywhere, hundreds, thousands of dollars, festivals. I mean, it is like crazy. And this is just to celebrate a European holiday.
Wow. I would have never thought it was like that.
Oh, it's bad.
Wow. And so, when I stop and I think about what was the ultimate goal of teaching that Black people are cursed, and we have to look at the economic and social goals that were laid out, that we laid out, but that were laid out before us. Economic justification. The primary goal was to provide a theological green light for the immensely profitable institution of slavery. It eased the conscience of a nation that claimed to be Christian while engaging in human trafficking. It made slavery appear not as a sin, but as a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. They also used it as social control. The doctrine was used to enforce a rigid social order. It taught both white people and black people that their station in life was one as a master and the other as a slave, was divinely determined. For white people, it fostered a sense of superiority and entitlement. For black people, it was a tool of psychological warfare designed to make them accept their subjugation as God's will and to crush their spirit of resistance. Also, they needed to perpetrate white supremacy. Beyond slavery, the curse of Ham became the foundation for the broader ideology of white supremacy that persisted through Jim Crow and continues to influence racial thought today. It created a durable myth that blackness itself is a sign of inferiority. It's a sign of sin, discrimination, and violence. The Curse of Ham, a story about black people, is a historical lie, a biblical lie, and our enemies use it to sanctify our oppression. Our so-called preachers, pastors, they use it as a way to finance their pockets. Even they don't believe they're equal to white preachers. Christianity is the perfect slave-making religion. We have ate this lie. We have become this lie. And now it's time for us to break the lies. We have to break the cross and kill the swine. We have to break the cross and kill the swine. Now, today's program is limited, but if you come back and be with us on Sunday, we're going to go into it of what I mean when I say we have to break the cross and kill the swine. Don't you miss it. You invite all your Christian family and friends to watch it. And be strong enough when they come back at you to put them down and let them know that by listening to this is showing you greater love than any Christian have ever showed you, because we're giving you the truth. You know, I said this a few years ago. I said that we're a greater friend to you than your mother. And a person was upset that I said that and wrote me and said, we could never be greater friends to our people than their mother. And I said, oh, yes, we are. Your mother got you here and we give her all the praise and glory. But she didn't teach you right. She didn't give you what you needed because she didn't know it to help you sustain your life and for you to be able to help sustain your children's lives. We're breaking you out from being a slave. We're breaking you out of that. And we want to introduce you to your natural self so that you can live your natural lives. Not a life that's ruled by fear. Not a life that makes you afraid to open your mouth. Not a life that you tell your children, shh, be quiet. Don't say that. When the children are speaking, what is truth? But because you have fear in your heart, you will seek to kill the truth that's embedded in your children, and you would make them into a punk like you. We have to break the cross. We have to kill the swine. We have to reject Christianity because it is the perfect slave-making religion. And when you can see every war that Black folks was in, fighting on the side of America, they believed that they were good Christian men. Even though they were told, I think it was the Tuskegee Airman, where he had a nerve to say, I'm fighting for my country. And that white drill sergeant said, nigga, you ain't got no country. This ain't your country. What are we fighting for? Are we fighting to allow them to continue to oppress us? We should have reached the verdict of enough is enough. But come out and join us on Sunday, because we're going to get right into it.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and close out because I'm about to head out the door. My other car is here, but
Okay.
before I go, I want to say this. That's why Elijah Muhammad told us we have to be very careful and understand who we are, who our enemies are, and who God is, because we don't fully understand who our enemies are, and you made that very clear. So I'm not going to go back and touch on that, but I will give your listening audience a little bit of homework. There is a Congolese woman. Her name is Kempa, Kimpa Vita, Vita. And I'm going to read a little bit to you about what happened to her when she did not accept the white man's version of Christianity. So Kempa Vita of the Congo, known as Donna Beatrice Kempa Vita, was a young Congolese woman who in 1704 claimed to be possessed by Saint Anthony. Now, that's very important to understand that in the spiritual system, our orishas are divine expressions of the all, and there are many orishas that take on various forms of God, various energies that show up in our life. And when she started taking on Catholicism, she said she was possessed by Saint Anthony, but that's really an African Orisha. Okay, so we hid our Orishas behind Catholicism during slavery. So Kempa Vita argued that Jesus was a Congolese, right? Now, she criticized Italian missionaries for not supporting Black saints and attempted to stop the devastating cycle of civil wars between Europeans and the Congolese. She was burned at the stake in 1706. And what we have to understand about Kempa Vita and many Congolese, like I told you before, when Europeans came to Congo, they wanted to impose their religion on the native people. And thinking that these Christians were their friends, they accepted a version of that religion and mixed it in with African spirituality systems. The white people were not happy with that. They were like, you have to accept all of our religion or none at all. And if you recall, I told you, those Congolese, those African brothers and sisters who would not put down their native African spiritual systems, they were killed or sent to America to be slaves. Now, if you know anybody with the last name Sullivan, they are products of Mr. Sullivan. He had an island off the coast of, I think, South or North Carolina, where the Congolese were brought to America and they were quarantined on Sullivan's Island. to get well, because they would come with all type of disease and sickness and illness. So they would stay on Sullivan's Island until they got better. And then when they got well, he would send them over to the mainland to work on the plantations. And they sent around 30 to 50,000 Africans to America simply because they would not accept the white man's version of Christianity. Now, and remember, they burned her alive. They burnt this Black woman alive for not accepting Christianity 100%. Another thing before we close out, whoever this is in the chat, Supreme Leader says, Christians abolished slavery. Abraham Lincoln wrote the Emancipation Proclamation, right? That said, okay, if you can run, escape, because he needed us to fight. See, they always need us to fight in their shit. If white people was winning the Civil War, he would have never wrote that fucking Emancipation Proclamation, because he didn't give a damn about us. He just wanted to win the war. And that's why we cannot celebrate no fucking false freedom that these people have allegedly given us, because we're not free. And they only extended it because they need us.
Exactly.
And when we don't accept 100% of what they have to offer, then we become a bigger enemy. You know? So Christianity is not something that we need to embrace. Again, it keeps you in bondage. It's a burden. It takes your hard-earned money and tithes and offering. It teaches you to turn the other cheek. Be good to those who despitefully use you. Wait on God. Harriet Tubman, as well as Frederick Douglass, according to some of the accounts that historians have on them, and we know Frederick Douglass said it in his biography. He said, I prayed and I prayed. I prayed and I prayed for freedom. I prayed for God. I prayed for Jesus to come and deliver me from this bullshit, and he never did. He said, and I realized I had to pray. There's a cartoon with Harriet Tubman as well, when she made a decision to escape. And she said, I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. But the fact of the matter is, she had to come to the reality that no one was going to come save her. And she had to escape. No one is going to come save us. It's just not going to happen. There is no such thing as the blood of Jesus. No, it's going to be some blood on your goddamn hands if you don't put that shit down. Open up your eyes, open up your mind, and stop being afraid to think. That's the reality. This is a universal religion with so many different fucking denominations, and the denominations are nothing more than versions of what they think the Bible is all about. That's why we have so many different fucking versions.
Exactly.
So people want to, and the reality is, a lot of us are going to die because we don't want to give it up. Don't die because they don't want to give it up. They want to give their tithes. They want to give their offerings. They want to give their children. For what? For what? The pastors take your money, buy houses, helicopters, fine cars, jewelry, and clothes. But what do you get out of it?
Exactly.
So it was nice talking with you today. I'm going to jet out the door. I'm going to an anti-Juneteenth lecture. It starts at 6, but I'm going to go get something to eat and try to get down because I have a 30-minute ride. So it's going to be a whole lot of white people there too. It's going to be a whole lot of white people there who think that Juneteenth is something that we should honor. And I can't wait to see the look on their face when we go in on their ass tonight. So
definitely. Let me know when you're back and let me know how it goes.
I will.
All right. Peace. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank y'all for coming out and joining us. As we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm going to kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black First, today, tomorrow, and forever. Love y'all, and don't forget, we'll see y'all on Sunday.
So you better get the message and get it straight. You're going to need some bridge work. It's simple as that. Because we're living in judgment. We're living in implementation.